So good afternoon, all of you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. First, let me recap yesterday that we have discussed the Prince algorithm, right? To know the minimum spanning tree. So when you look into the minimum spanning tree, you can see that when we come here, we are stuck up with and we are going to this, right? So why we are going to this? Somebody has asked me at the end of the class. See, when you write down this one, that is the reason why I have written this one. When you write down these lines, you will always find out the minimum one at all costs, right? So based on that, you will find out what is the next minimum, and you can go through that. For example, you can see at this line you have all 11, 9, 7, 10, 2. 2 is already removed, and you have 8. So 8 is minimum. So that is the reason why we go like this. So if you have any confusion with this, you can go through this one. So what I will do is I will write down the edges that are possible so that you can clearly understand what edge we have to select. It's all about edges, right? So there will be no confusion in writing that thing. So as yesterday at the end of the session, somebody has asked this doubt, so I thought of revising it today. Just a second, I will remove this one also so that we want to go through the Prince algorithm once more and write down these things. Okay, right. Now, let's say according to the Prince algorithm, first of all, we are starting at 0, right? This is our main target. So we are starting at 0. See, tell me if my voice is not audible. So if I'm starting at 0, I will look into 10 and 11. Which one is clear? Okay. So what are the things that I need to write the edges? I have 0 to 1, the one edge, and 0 to 2 is another edge that I have found. Okay. So in these two cases, we have the number 10 for 0 to 1 and 11 for 0 to 2. So among these things, I will select 10, right? So keep them like that. So after 10, you're now adding, when I select this one, so I'm coming at 1. So my target is at 1 here in this case. Because when I selected this one, what is the end point? That's the end point I'm selecting, or whatever the start point, that's 0 or 1, anything we can take. But because 0 is already touched, now we are going to 1. So from 1, what are the edges that I can check? Now tell me. What are the edges that I can check?
11, 9, 8, sir.
Okay, at edges, I want edges like 1, 2, 2, 1, 2,
4,
yes.
0, 4.
Okay. 1 to 2, sorry, 1 to 4 and 1 to 2. These are the only things that are connected. So now see what are the things that are left actually. Because 0 to 1 is already selected. Now we shall write what are the edges that are there. So 1 to 2 is 9. 1 to 4 is 8. So among these things, so initially we have gone through this route. So now tell me, among these three numbers, which one is minimum?
1 to 4, sir.
1 to 4, 8. So we select this one. So we go through this. right? And now we got 4. Now tell me, what are the edges that I consider? 4 to 3, 4,
4 to 5.
4 to 5, and 4 to 8. So these are the things that I am considering. So now let me write what is 4 to 3, 7, 4 to 6, 8, 4 to 5, 10, and 4 to 8 is 5. Okay, now among these 11, 9, 7, 8, 10, 5, which one is shorter?
4 to 8, sir.
Yes. So the minimum number is 4 to 8. So we come through this. We are coming to this one. Now we have to select few other things. They are 8 to 5 because this is already there, and 8 to 7. So what are the things that have been added? 8 to 5 is 6 and 8 to 7 is 11. So which is the minimum one among them?
8 to 5, sir.
8 to 5. So 6 will be selected. Okay. So 6 can be selected. So we are coming to this. So until our spanning tree is up to this. Now coming to 5, we have 5 to 3. I have to just write down like this. If possible, I will write very short numbers. 0 to 1, 0 to 2, 1 to 2, 1 to 4. If you keep it like this, then there will be no confusion on your side. 4 to 6, 4 to 5, 4 to 8, 8 to 5, 8 to 7. Until now, I will write all the numbers that I have. 10 has been selected already. 11, 9, 8 been selected. 7, 8, 10, 5, 6, 11. Yeah. Now I have to write something like 5 to 2, 5 to 3, 5 to 4. 5 to 4, I think already there is no need for us to, because 4 to 5 is equal to 5 to 4 because this is undirected. Not a need for us to write that. 5 is connected to 2, 3, 4 and 8 because 5 to 4 is already there in our list, you can see here. And 5 to 8 we came just now. So we have 5 to 2, 5 to 3 and 5 to 2. So among these things, let us write down what are this. 5 to 2 is 1 and 5 to 3 is 2. Which one I need to select?
5 to 2, sir.
Yes, 5 to 2. So 1 I am selecting. So I will go through this one. Okay. So after that, you have, according to your instinct, you can have, now we are at 2. So already 0 to 2 is there. 2 to 1 is also there because 0 to 2 and 1 to 2 are there. So now 2 is left over with only 2 to 3. Okay, 2 to 3. So we have 2 here. So among these two, anything you can select. So maybe if I select 5 to 3 or 2 to 3, whatever I want to select, I can select it. So maybe we can select 2 to 3. So this was also asked yesterday, right? So I am selecting 2 to 3. So now 3 is left over with 5, 4. But 5 to 3 is already there. And 3 to 4 is only there now. Right? So let us write down 3 to 4. See what happens now. When 3 to 4 is there, the thing that will come is 7. And among them, 2 is only less. But if you select 2, it forms a cycle. You can see it forms a cycle. But I should not have any cycle here. So I should not consider this one. So cancel it. This one also you cancel it because it forms a cycle. Right? So among these things, which one is smaller? No, 4 to 3 is already there, of course. So this should be cancelled because it is forming a cycle. Right? So even if you select this one, you can see that, you can see this is forming a cycle. This is one cycle, right? This is forming a triangle. So both 7 and 2 should be eliminated. So after eliminating this, among these things, which one is minimum? Tell me. Among
4
11,
to 6, sir.
8, 10, 11, yeah, 4 to 6 is minimum. So we select this one. So that means we now have to go from this to this. And when we are at 6, 6 has only one thing like 6 to 7, right? So let us write 6 to 7. So that is nothing but having 2. So among 11, 9, 10, 11 and 2, 2 is minimum, right? So hence I will select the path, this one. So if you follow this one, it will be very easy for you to make over a minimum spanning tree. So write on all the edges and their weights. Remove all the edges that are forming a cycle. Even though they are minimum, we should not consider them if they are forming a cycle. So remove that and try to go with other things which are minimum next to that. So when you find out the minimum thing, then you underline that particular edge and you continue identifying the other edges which are having the minimum path. So that means this is a minimum spanning tree that you finally get. And if you even count how many edges you have removed, it should be matching with the formula that is given. Okay, it's exactly for the spanning tree, right? So this is how the minimum spanning tree can be obtained. This looks very important to identify, but still for this large diagram, you can go for this so that there will be no confusion. Somebody is asking any doubt?
Sir, instead of starting from 0, can I start from any other number, sir? Did
Any
I
other,
get the same edges?
yes, any other number you can take. The target number might be given. Like for example, you can start at 5, you can start at 8. But if you write all these edges like that and you see that cycles are not formed, even though you got a minimum weight, but if you select that one and a cycle is forming, remove that one and go to its next minimum. So by this, you can select all the edges which are having minimum, and that too, all the nodes should be touched. For example, from 0, I can even go to 7, 8, 5, 4, 3, 1, 2, right? There is no path missing for me. So look into these things. When you are forming a minimum spanning tree or a spanning tree, uh, just look into the problem of each node connecting to every other node or not. So in this case, from 1 I can go to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, at any cost I can go, even with a spanning tree or a minimum spanning tree, right? So this is first case, and the second case is if you are forming a spanning tree, it should comply with the formula of how many edges should be there of these many nodes. I have given you some formulas. This is the second point. And the third point is for forming a minimum spanning tree, not a spanning tree, minimum spanning tree, you should select the weight which is minimum among all those present. Remove the things which are forming the cycle and only select the edges which are not forming the cycle and are minimum when considering the others. If something is forming a cycle and it is having a minimum weight, remove that one and go to its next minimum. By this way, you can just connect all the nodes and form a minimum spanning tree using Prim's algorithm. Yeah, any doubt in this?
I have doubts, sir.
Okay.
Sir, actually, my case is. Hello, sir.
Yeah, tell me. I'm hearing.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have a doubt, sir. Sir, if two persons are there in 3, sir, means at the number 3, suppose. They both are following Prince rule, sir. One
Hmm.
follow, one going. They want to reach number 2, sir.
Hmm.
So one going from 3 to 5 and 5 to 2, sir.
Okay. Hmm.
The weight is 3, sir, now.
Okay.
And the another one follows directly 3 to 2, sir. The weight is 2.
Hmm.
Which one, like, who is the correct, sir, now?
Spanning tree is different from the shortest path algorithms. See, spanning tree is something like, this is applied in the network to reduce the packets hopping from one system to the other system. So what you are telling is the shortest path. For example, if you want to reach from 3 to 2, if you are reaching directly from 3 to 2, it is 2. But if you are reaching from 3 to 5 and 5 to 2, it is 3. So if you take them as kilometers, definitely you will prefer 3 to 2. So that's not equal to the spanning tree. That's called shortest path algorithms, which is applied in your GPS systems. Did you understand? Minimum spanning tree is different from the shortest path algorithms. So minimum spanning tree in the sense, see, why we are saying minimum spanning tree, you have a lot of spanning trees. So without connecting 0 to 2, still you can reach 2. That's what it is saying. But you by this time you are connecting all the nodes which you want. So you have to connect all the nodes which you want, and along with that, for example, you see 0 to 2 is 11, but if you want to come to 2, see you have to go from 0 to 1, 1 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 5, 5 to 2. So it takes longer. So it is not shortest path. This is a minimum spanning tree which has to form with these conditions. That's all. They only say that. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Any other doubt?
Sir,
Hello?
for solving minimum spanning tree, all like if you given a student like if you given has a problem, sir,
Hmm.
all students should get same answer or different answers is also possible, sir.
That's what you have to think. Like the minimum spanning tree will only be one. That means either, for example, you see this one. In this spanning tree, you might be connecting from 5 to 3 or 2 to 3. So this is the only ambiguity that we get. So most probably, if there is no duplicate weightage, you will always get a one minimum spanning tree among all the spanning trees. For example, there are 100 spanning trees. You will get only one minimum spanning tree if there are no duplicate weights. But if there are duplicate weights, still that is called a minimum spanning tree, only one spanning tree, because why should you write another minimum spanning tree if you have this one? For example, there is no need for you to write 5 to 3 at any cost, because you already got your minimum spanning tree 2. So you can remove this one. So most probably there must be no ambiguity. The ambiguity only comes when the weights are same. So the examiner can know which path he has followed, and based on that he can award you the marks. And in the real life also, you can take any path which is following the minimum spanning tree formula. I hope you understand.
Yes, sir. Sir, suppose if you start from the three, sir, and
Hmm.
one student will form a minimum spanning tree going through two, sir, and one from going through five, sir.
Hmm.
So different like both students get different answers, sir, means different spanning trees.
What I'm saying, if there is an ambiguity from a single node, for example, from 3 you got 2 and 2, then definitely people can understand that you are taking this path. Among these two, anything you can select. Okay, still it is called only one spanning tree. Whether it is you are taking the path of 3 to 2 and 3 to 5, it follows the same actually. So most of the spanning tree will look like same, except few directions that you change. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, got it, sir.
Right. So I hope you practice these problems, and we will now go to Dijkstra algorithm. Yeah. So I'm just writing drawing the graph actually. By this time, the time is up. Okay. So this is a graph. So now we are going into the Dijkstra's shortest path algorithm. So what is the shortest path algorithm? In the sense, this is the main application in GPS actually. So it takes every destination as a point. Have you seen that in real time also? You most probably when you're saying some. So people are asking. Earlier days, I don't know whether you see or not. My grandfather used to write lot of addresses like this. He used to say, if you go like this, you will find Kshatriya Kalyana Mandapam, and if you go down, you will find a tennis court. Come down through this narrow one, and you will find Allur Sitaram Raju statue. And from this, you go like this to find out the house or a school or something. So he used to draw like this clearly, and he used to even keep like you are going up north, this is east, south, and then west, and so and so. Most probably in our real life, the addresses or whatever we consider talking something in terms of concepts, we take each one as node and draw some lines between them, indicating it as a graph that you need to understand. So I used to admire how he is drawing all those things. When we said at the age of 80 years also, he traveled all along India. So when I used to ask that grandfather, I'm going to Coimbatore, he used to say immediately with a graph, he used to take a paper. At the age of 80, he has gone to Coimbatore at the age of 40. After 40 years, he still remembers at how many kilometers the railway station will be there, and from there which bus we have to board. And whatever he exactly said is going on like that in Coimbatore to go to Uti. So I went for conference, and during that one I asked him how to go to all these things, and he told. So that means I also understand that India did not change for last 40 years. So because at the age of 40 he went, and the age of 80 whatever he told is exactly there in Coimbatore. Not even single thing is changed. So he has drawn a graph to me to show what is what and how many kilometers will be there, how to go and all. I just followed his graph. I did not believe the GPS also, because GPS is not always at a time correct. Because one day I was having a lot of mess visiting a hotel. It was showing at some point. So I went to Kolkata. It was showing some point like I was in a port guest house. I have to reach port guest house. I'm following GPS blindly. I'm going, friend. I'm going back. See, along with my wife, I went to the conference, and going up and down, she finally, sat somewhere and said, "When you found the point, then only call me." So this is what happened with the GPS. So I don't believe GPS most of the times. I only believe GPS up to 50%, and other 50% will be with people. So I asked people there, where is the guest house and all, then they showed me, because it's a new location, right? Okay. Anyway, in most of the real-time applications, we use graphs. And coming to GPS, you always see that there is a shortest path every time. It suggests us that if you go through this way, you can save some time, and if you go through this way, you have to travel more time, like that. So let us see that these points are the areas, and we are going from one area to the other area, and how we can go through the shortest path algorithm given by Dijkstra. So the spelling here is actually spelled like Dijkstra. So when I'm in my BTech, nobody actually told me how you can call this, why we have to call this. So I don't know what is his history, but he might be a person belonging to the Scandinavian, I think, because they call J as Yo. So we can say it's Dijkstra. It's not like we in BTech I thought like why they are calling Dijkstra. So I used to call it Dijkstra. No, we call in English we call it as J, but in Scandinavian countries they call it as Yo. So Dijkstra. Okay. So after that, that shortest path algorithm is proposed by him, and so it is named after this Dijkstra. And let us go through this one. Carefully observe what I am doing. I will tell you in two methods, and you can follow these things. Let me take red if possible. Okay, right. So if you're starting at A, then A's self destination is always 0. Okay, it is always 0. For A to B, what is the destination we got? If you need to travel A to B, how many units you need to travel?
2 units.
2, sir.
2, right? 2, right. If you want to go from A to F, how many units you need to travel?
4,
4,
sir.
4, right. It is 4. If you want to travel A to C, there is no direct connection, right? So we keep, according to Dijkstra, we keep it as infinite because we don't know how many paths are there. So initially we keep infinite. And remember, I forget to say that this is not undirected graph. We have to go for directed graph, of course. I'm sorry for this. Because Dijkstra is basically workable in directed graph, not undirected. If there is an undirected graph, it still works. But the only thing is that, you can take A, B. If there is undirected graph, you can convert them like this. If this is 2, you can convert the graph into a directed one like this. Because with 2 you can go from A to B and B to A, right? So that is the reason why I have converted it into a directed graph. A to B is 2 and B to A is also 2. This is directed, this is undirected. So Dijkstra is more efficient for directed, so I will draw these directed graph now. Yes, so this is the only possibility that whether we can go from this to this. Okay. ah
Sir, F
yeah.
to E, you forgot to give the direction.
Yes, thank you. Okay. So, right. So from A to B, we got 2. From A to F, we got 4. And remaining are all infinite because from A to E, we don't know which direction we can go, so infinite. A to D also, we don't know which one will be the shortest one, so at present we will say infinite. So this is our first step. Now, which path you will select from A to F or A to B? Which path you will select because you want shortest path?
So A to B, sir.
A to B. So first the minimum number will be selected. So I will select this one, A to B. Okay. And hence I have kept 2. Right. And now let us see. When these two are okay, now I want to go to F. The next minimum should be F. If I want to go to F. Now you need to understand that if I am going to F, see that the A to F direct is 4, A to B and B to F is little bit lesser, right? So from here, if you are selecting this path and you are here at B, now you see the thing that you got is 2 here, right? So when I call this as U and this as B, now the formula follows like this. The distance of U plus the coverage of U comma V. So because this is V at our current position, when we are at B, we are selecting this one first, right? So when we are talking about this one, B next preference is 7. First preference is 1 because we have less value. If it is less than your distance of V, you see, what is the present distance of V we have, which I have underlined? Tell me what is the number?
4.
4. So we have 4. What is the distance of U?
2.
2, sir.
So what is the coverage of U comma V?
1, sir.
1. So when 2 plus 1, 3 is less than 4, then the next task that you do is strike off this one and write down the latest weight. So 3. Okay. So we have 3 here. Right. The next thing. So that means you see why I'm writing 3. That means from A, if we want to travel to F, you can go for B and B to F. 2 plus 1, 3, which is less than 4. That's what the earlier doubt that was asked, which is part of your shortest path algorithm. Okay. Now coming from B, let us see from B. The next task that we have is to find out which one is this one. Like calculate again. So this is U and this is V. Now what according to the formula, what should I write?
Sir, 2 plus 7
Yes, 2 plus 7 less
less
than,
than infinity.
yes, it is less than infinite, right? So now my task is to strike off and put 9 here. 9. So that means from A to reach C, you have 9 as the path until now. Until now, we find out the minimum path is 9. That's all. Come back to 4 again, F again. Now, tell me according to this, what will happen?
Sir, 3 plus 3 is less than infinity.
3 plus 3 less than infinity. Yes, because
E becomes 6.
yeah, if this is U and this is V, 3 plus V less than. So we just strike off this one and put 6 here. See, all these things I will round up so that you can understand. So our latest ones. Okay, right. So right. From E you tell me if I want
6
to go
plus
to C.
That's fine.
6
So
plus 2 is less than 9.
yes, correct. So if this is U and V, so 6 plus 2 is, if this is 6 and you want to go to C, then it is 8. So 6 plus 2 is 8 less than infinity. Sorry, less than 9.
9, sir.
Because 8 less than 9. And hence, I will strike off 9 and write 8 now. So this is the latest one to reach C. That means from A to C, you can follow this path. So A plus B. So A to B, B to F, F to E and E to C is much lesser than directly reaching from A to B and B to C. Right, I hope you understand. Because this is the target point. So from A, you have 2 plus 1, 3, plus 3, 6, plus 2, 8. So this is much more minimum. Now we finished, what is the next one? If this is U and from E to V, what is that you consider?
6 plus 5 less than infinity, sir.
Yes, 6 plus 5, which is 11 less than infinity. So 11 less than infinity. So you strike off this infinity and put 11 there. Okay, strike off the infinity and put 11 there. Now from C to D, from E to D it is 11. That's what we got. That means from A, if you are going from A to B, B to F, F to E and E to D, it is occupying 11. But
Sir,
if you,
8 plus 1 is less than 11.
yes, if C is U and D is V, apply the formula. The distance of C is 8 plus C to D is 1 is less than 11. That means 9 less than 11. So naturally we strike off 11 and put 9. That's the end. So this is your shortest path algorithm. So if you are starting at A to reach F, this is the path. To reach C, this is the path. To reach D, this is the path. So that means you come from A to B, B to F, F to E, E to C and C to D. This has less path when considering other paths. Like you cannot travel from A to B, B to C and C to D. So even if you travel, see how much it is taking. 2 plus 7, 9, 9 plus 1, 10. Of course, that is also greater. If you are coming from A to B, B to F, F to E, and E to D, it is occupying 11 greater. So it is better for you to come from A to B, B to F, F to E, E to C, and C to D. Right? So this is how you can consider this. Now I will give you another graph, something that we will look into. Let me imagine and write down. So before the next class, you prepare yourself how you can do it. So A, and we can consider this. B, C, D, let me take, if I can go to D, C. Okay, let's see. This is 45, 50. This is 2, 10, 20. Let us see this one. Now, write down this one, and before you go to the next class, you just tell me how it is possible. What is the shortest path for each one to get reached? In the next class, I will give you a few more examples. Okay. So I want to show a small video before we end up with the next thing. So I found it quite interesting. I don't know whether I have told you this story or not. I'll just share you the screen when I found that video.
Alert from your disk is almost full.
Just a second. I find this quite interesting. I want to find out this one. I'll share the screen. So this is a World War I scenario in which two people are fighting each other, like one British and the German soldier. But slowly you see that the British is little bit, you know, frustrated with the sounds that he is making with all the pain, and hence he next goes to try to save this German soldier. He wants to shoot him at first. Sound slowly starts, don't worry. It's so brutal, right? That's what war is. But he don't want to shoot. He left over like that German soldier. I think this is the Battle of Somme or something, which is a very brutal battle in the history of Europe. So he's trying to save him actually. Seeing his pain, he was a little bit frustrated. So he wanted to save him with all the wound and all. The wounded person is a German soldier and he is an English soldier who is now treating him. He's asking his name. And he says, I'm Henry Tandy. And you can see now that guy asks this German soldier's name. What are you expecting this German soldier to be? So he says that I am Adolf Hitler and he is a Lance Corporal in German army. So that's where the world will blame always Henry Tandy to be the cause of World War II, which is one of the disastrous battle forming the invention of even the nuclear bomb. So this is the person who has disastrously started it, killing a lot of Jews and creating havoc. Of course, a little bit of help is done for World War II. We got our independence because British was weakened in the war. So remember that destiny is there for everybody. Everybody has to do something. I always believe in Ksheerasagar Madana, which is part of Hindu mythology. You know or not know, but during this particular one, the Rakshasas and Devatas will have a small battle with the snake. And you see a lot of good things and bad things come. Even a great poison called Hala Hala comes, and one of the great thing called, a cow which gives a lot of milk will come. Amruta will come. So you see that a war between stupids and good people, at least when considering these, you will get some good things and bad things at a time. A nuclear bomb is like a poison that we got around this world, like hala hala. See how our ancestors have imagined that the future might be like this. I don't know whether this Ksheerasagar Madana happened, but really that happens for every part of the world. And this guy was saved, and after this thing there were 40 attempts on his life until he took over his own life. Like in our Puranas, we have that the devils and Rakshasas have the thing like they can take their own life and whenever they want they can go. This fellow has that one. So he created a lot of havoc, and finally after this, we got some jet engines, we got computers from this havoc, and we also got nuclear bombs. So this video I thought like quite interesting and want to show you how the destiny will make you rule this world. Sometimes you think that I am very unconfident that I cannot do this. But once you are at part, like for example, you are at computer science, maybe we don't know someday you might use this knowledge of computer science in one of your ventures, whatever venture it might be. So that's the reason why I have tried to show you. So this is a very famous incident that happened. Even Hitler, after becoming his own Führer in Germany, he actually praised Henry Tandy for saving him, and he even kept a photo of Henry Tandy, the British soldier, and in his room, and Henry Tandy later recognized that he is the person who saved him. So this is what happens all the world. And right, we will meet in the next class with some other exercises. Bye bye for now.
Thank you, sir.